Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Okteto Community Call. I'm Ramiro. I'm one of the founders of Okteto. And with me today is Abdul. Abdul recently joined Okteto as our first dev advocate community manager. So if you see him online, please remember to say hi. He's going to be, we want him to be the main point of contact between our community, everyone on this call, everyone on the Slack, and the team. And this is something that, we wanted to work both ways. So talk to him, say hi. He's very active on the Slack channel, on Twitter, on a bunch of other places. But you know what? I think I should let him introduce himself. So Abdul, why don't you tell us something about you?
Sure. Thank you very much. So I'm Abdul. I am currently the developer advocate at Okteto. And before joining as a dev advocate, I used to write technical articles for a couple of publications on tech, basically web technologies and of recent cloud technologies. Like Ramiro said, we you can find me online. I'm pretty active in the Kubernetes Slack channel on Twitter and various others. And welcome to our first community call. There's a host of things we're going to do today. I would keep you in suspense so you could enjoy the community call. Thanks.
Yeah, this is going to be very exciting. And thanks to everyone who's joined. Vignesh, hi, how are you? I know that Docker Live is going to start in a few minutes. It's very exciting. So thank you everyone for being here. We'll have a nice conversation, and then we'll all head there to see the keynote and a lot of really cool demos. There's a couple of talks on dev environments and containers that I'm going to be attending. And if you're there, let's talk. 'Cause as you know, that is one of the main topics that we love to talk about at Okteto. So as you all know, right? We started Okteto, we started the open source project, and then we started building this company with one mission, which is to make the lives of developers easier. Like everything we do, whether it's open source, for customers, for the community, is all about making everyone's lives easier. Things like Okteto Up that lets you hot reload your code. It's all about fast. And for us, that is what we're going to be focusing on. And today you'll see an example of those things is, hey, how do we, through technology, can help all of you and help all of us solve cool problems without having to deal with infrastructure, friction, and all of those things. So it's been a great journey so far, and we're looking forward to having more of this as a way to share not just what we shipped, but also what we're thinking about building. Talk to all of you. So we want to make this as collaborative as possible. So please, I'm looking at all the comments on YouTube. So please keep them coming. And yeah, well, today we as if you've been paying attention to our blog, we released something pretty major last week, a couple of weeks ago, which is our integration for Docker Compose. This is something that we've been working on for a while now, and to kind of give you some background into why we built this. When we started Okteto, it was very focused on Kubernetes, Helm charts, kubectl, all of those things, and that is great. But as we talk to the community, as we talk to everyone, we realized that for a lot of developers, Helm and kubectl was not the place where they wanted to start. If you look on GitHub repos, if you talk to people, Docker Compose is still the main way to define your application and run it with one command. So after we talked to a lot of people, talked to a lot of customers, even talked to people on Docker, we decided that, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you can kind of like mix this simplicity and elegance of the Docker Compose format with all the other tools we've built at Okteto. So we kind of got the team together, especially I think Abul was involved, Pablo, our CTO, Javi, she's our main maintainer on the CLI. They got together, started thinking about it, and decided that, yes, this is something we want to do. So, fast forward to today, and if you get the latest version of the Okteto CLI, and you connect that with Okteto Cloud or Okteto Enterprise, you are able to, with one command, Okteto stack deploy, launch a Docker Compose application in Okteto in Kubernetes. And there's two really cool things, at least I think they're cool. I hope you agree on this. Number one is we implemented the entire Compose spec. For those of you who don't know, the Compose spec is open source. This is very useful because this allows you to take the spec. They even have some official validation for this in different languages and integrate that into your application. So for us, it was, hey, take this spec, and then whenever a developer types Okteto stack deploy, we do a translation, we validate the stack, and we do a translation on the fly of what that maps to Kubernetes concepts. With the idea that you as a developer, start with Compose, launch your application, it will run, we'll create all the volumes, deployments, ingresses, stateful sets, all of those things on the fly, and you're going to have an application up and running. And then you're going to be able to do the things you've done all the time with Okteto. Deploy from your repo, run Okteto up, use the RBS code extension, all these other really cool tools. And I love this because it's how you're mixing all these technologies that work really well on its own, Docker Compose, the Okteto CLI, Okteto Cloud, but then you can mix them together to give you this really cool, fast end-to-end experience. And going back to the beginning of the call, it's all about that, right? It's how can we get people how we can get all to work and to code as fast as possible? Because I don't want to spend time building containers, deploying. I want to have my dev environment up and running super fast, write some code, see the results, iterate quickly, and then get that high of like, yes, my code is working, I'm testing it, and then getting it out there. So it's really cool. I recommend that you try it out. Check out our blog. Abdul wrote a super cool step-by-step tutorial that takes you everything on how to do this. So check it out. It's the first release of our Docker Compose integration. So please, any feedback, if there's any Compose that doesn't work, please reach out on the Slack and we'll work to make sure it does, because our hope here, our vision is that any stack will just run on Okteto. And as you try it out, you'll discover that we implement some really cool things, like we generate .env files on the fly based on the contents of your Okteto secrets. We inject the environment variables, again, based on the secrets. So there's a lot of cool integrations that we're working towards making them more obvious. We'll write some tutorials and blog posts. But please, we're here today. So if you have any questions, put them on YouTube. I'm looking at the comments right now. But now for the one of the two main events of the day, because we have Abdul first, and then we have a special guest, Sangam, one of our oldest members of the community, founder of the Okteto Bangalore meetup. He's going to talk a little bit about his experience with Okteto. But before we go to it, Abdul here is going to give us I think it's a really cool demo walkthrough of how to use Docker Compose with Okteto. So Abdul, all yours.
All right, thank you very much, Ramiro. I will be giving a demo on how to use Docker Compose feature that we just launched. Like Ramiro said, feedbacks will be very well appreciated. The goal is to make sure any Docker Compose manifest works without any hitch. And for this demo, I'll be building a very simple application with fast API, which is Python. After which I'll deploy it to Okteto. Everything will be shown directly. So all the steps can be followed carefully. And the steps used, or the steps I will use in this demo, are applicable for any programming language or any Docker Compose file or manifest. So if you don't mind, give me minutes to set up, and we should be up and going. Good. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen now. Thanks. Okay, let's see. So I can confirm from my end that I can see my own screen. So I assume everyone can. So the steps for this demo, the first thing I'm going to do is write the manifest file. Or before that, I'll give an overview of what we are building. We're building a very simple CRUD application. That is, we're going to do just create, read, update, and delete. It is going to be a simple to-do list application for the scope of this demo, so we don't take too much time. The goal for this demo is to demonstrate how to deploy Docker Compose applications. And so I'm going to write the manifest. Like every Docker Compose application, the first thing we need is a Docker file. I'm just going to create a blanket Docker file, which I'm going to create a Docker Compose manifest. And in this demo, I'm also going to use the dev environment that we at Okteto give. Using the dev environment, you have a couple of features that I'm going to demonstrate practically in the scope of this demo, so we can, verify that these work. So, like Ramiro said, we are fully in sync with the specs at Docker Compose or the specs at Docker. So, for this, we're going to have just two services. The first service is going to be the application itself, and the second service is going to be the database. I will be using MongoDB for the scope of this demo. I am a fan of documents oriented databases. So, I'll begin. Okay, so we're going to have two services. I'm going to have the API build. Since I Docker Compose, I'm going to expose these ports. Next is going to be the database. So I'm going to say MongoDB. And for this, we're going to use the Vietnam image. Which is the latest one. And we want to only expose the internal ports. This we don't want an outsider to be able to access our database. And of course, we have to put volumes here. Then we should have MongoDB volume, MongoDB. Let's say data. So MongoDB data. Okay, so our compose file is here. Like I said, we're going to be just a very simple application. So before deploying anything, I'm going to like I already have a virtual environment folder here since I am running a Python application. And so I'm going to activate this now. Activate it here. And I'm going to install Fast API. API is the application framework for this demo. I'm going to also install UVCon. UVCon is an ASGI, asynchronous gateway interface, for running the application. So I'm going to install this first. Okay. So I'm going to use the main file as a point as our entry point, and you can use Vicon here when you install Vicon accessible from your virtual environment, from within your virtual environment alone. So I'm going to test that the installation is complete here, and so I'm going to write a very basic welcome route. So I'm going to say from fast API. API. We can have see we're just going to define, let's say our app here is going to be equals to fast. We need to define welcome. Okay. I'm just going to return and say message welcome. Welcome to the first community call. for this, I'm going to run uvicon directly here. I'm going to say uvicon main, the name of the Python file, colon to where we register our routes or the instance of fast API, which is app here. So when I do this, I see, uvicon main app here. Now, application starts on the port 8000. Alternatively, you could configure your own application to start at any port you like. Later in the demo, we're going to configure this to run on port 8080. However, when I click on this and check that this is working, we get the message, welcome to the first community call. And as such, it means the application is working perfectly. Now, like I said earlier, we're going to use the dev environment, which is one of the best things at Okteto. And so for that, okay, so let's install the remaining requirements. You have to install PyMongo, which I'll be using for database driver. And I'm going to install the couple to enable us configure our env files, environment files. So what's everything? So Python the couple. Okay. Okay. So now what we want to do is freeze our requirements into requirement.txt file. So we don't have to go through stress anymore. Requirements. Okay. The next step is write a Docker file for this. So before I do this, I just want to give a brief overview of what we've been doing. The first thing we did was to create a Docker Compose manifest file to list the services we will be using, or when we deploy application to Okteto, what services should be built. We also expose the ports for this application. And now I'm writing a Docker file so that whenever we push images or whenever we make a deployment, an image is built on the instruction of the Docker file. So of course, I'm going to use from Python. Let's say use, I don't use an image for add requirements. Here to requirements. See, add here. See, okay, I think we have everything here. So after the main file, we need to give an instruction run pip install requirements XC. We want to expose port 8080, right? So we port expose 8080 for this, and so we're going to like, okay. So at this point, you create a new folder where, or there's no point in creating a folder yet. We're going to do everything first. So we're going to expose this point here, and so give a command here, should run run in app. So previously we did not specify any port to use, but in this time around, we're going to specify ports. Alternatively, okay, let's see if this works. Ports is 8080, and we want to add live reload feature to see if this works. Okay. The first step before using dev environment, because there are two instances, you could decide to use dev environment before having an actual deployment, and you could decide to deploy application first before using the dev environment. Using the dev environment after deploying an application is the best approach because it makes it easier to use your application because you already have a deployment, so you don't have to struggle with having to set up a new one, and it takes less time. Now to deploy application here, we're using the Okteto CLI. The Okteto CLI is one of the smartest tool I've used, and so to do that, first you need to log in from the command line. Make sure that be authorized. And now I could close this. Essentially, just go back here. Then I'm going to list namespaces. So I'm going to Okteto list namespace. Show me the active namespaces I have in my cluster. Okay, here. I have two namespaces, and for this code this demo, I'm going to use the youngest dev namespace. So I'm going to Octeto namespace youngest dev. When I run this command, what Octeto does is pulls all the credentials from our cluster, so we don't have to run anything, I have to do extra configurations for Kubernetes or anything. So everything goes smoothly. And deploy this now, I'm going to use the command Octeto stack deploy. Let's see. It should go smoothly. So when you run this command, the first thing Octeto does is look for a Docker file, a Docker compose file, a stack file, a Kubernetes manifest file, or a Helm chart, and listens to the instruction. In our Docker compose file, we've instructed we have IP install requirements. So, okay, that is weird. So I'm going to add requirements, or requirements.txt. I cannot. Execution field for PIP install requirements. Let's see.
I think you have to specify the path to the requirements.txt as well.
Okay.
Maybe looking in the wrong in a different place. So put slash and then requirements.txt on line 7.
See, that's okay. Let's try this. See.
While that runs, can you show us the Docker Compose?
Sure. So in Docker Compose, okay, does it solve the problem? So that's doesn't solve the problem, and that should not up names requirements of TXT maybe to this point and expose. Could you check? Could you cross check?
Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's a good example of how we troubleshoot our issues.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll see that this is using Okteto's build service. So it's running on BuildKit. So you get the same output you will get if you were building your image locally. So it's an output we are all familiar with. So why don't you check the terminal and scroll up? I think you might be missing maybe some dependency that is not that's missing.
Sure. Collecting click. If you don't find the version that satisfies the mentioned files for this, I don't think that should be an issue.
Data
probably
process.
no, that's still would. Let me see the compose.
Go to your requirements txt.
Okay, yeah, let's see.
Why don't you remove? Yeah, why don't you just put the maybe something that's not
let's try this once more. Then
available. Maybe just put fast API by Mongo and PyDecouple and let Python figure out the dependencies
itself. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm just going to use UVCon here. This is UVCon. UVCon. I'm going to have fast API. And we have Mongo. Okay, so we're going to run this once more.
I think you need decouple too, no?
Yeah, I do. Okay, let's see if that works first, then we could make changes. If it fails, then we're going to try to see what the issue is.
All right, there we go. That one worked.
Yeah, okay, that worked. That's
pushing the layer.
Okay, so we're going to rebuild, but however, when you run a stack deploy, like I said earlier, it lists the services in your Docker Compose or Stack Manifest file and builds each service independently on your cluster. And so you could monitor the changes. And so when I log into my cluster here, first go to Octeto, then I log in with GitHub. You could create a free account. We don't require you to use a credit card at registration. We don't. And okay, so we should have, let's see, the image is building. Okay. So we are still going to rebuild this because I added a new deployment.
There.
However,
pushing
the image
everything.
for services has been pushed. So we have the stack that we deployed here. It takes the name of the parent or working directory, then it's progressing, gives us the states, shows that it's deploying the particular stack. And here we have the API service has been built and pushed and it's progressing. And we have the MongoDB stateful sets and the volume itself. And what Octeto does is when you make a deployment and expose the public point 8080, Octeto automatically assigns a HTTP endpoint here. We have more than one.
That's good. Because now we can show. I think if you go to Dockerfile the
Yep.
way you specified
The
the
arguments.
parameters.
Mm.
I
Hey,
think you need to put them on like separate. The port quotes space. Yeah, you know.
mm, mm.
Put a quotes and then comma and then put 8080 on a different set of quotes without the equal.
Okay, cool. Oh, should that work? Let's see.
And then just to simplify, why don't you remove the reload part to keep it
Simple.
Yeah, remove the reload part. I think
Yep.
just to troubleshoot that it works. Yep.
Yep. So interestingly, you could also monitor your logs from your dashboard. So whenever a service or deployment fails, you could troubleshoot like online. Because when we deployed it, it's successfully deployed. However, there were issues, and so that's why we have the logs on the dashboard to show you here. And so ideally, this should
It's
reboot.
getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a really cool thing to mention. I'm glad the demo you're showing this where it's failing. It's
This
showing
is
you the
changed.
logs there. You don't have to go get them and all those things. That's something that is very useful. No, try instead of that. Why don't you?
Okay.
It's getting there, I think.
Let's see.
There we go.
That's,
Good.
maybe you have
Okay.
to build a
Maybe you didn't save the file before. Just save. Make sure the file is saved.
I have auto save, so I'm just going to do it
Or why don't you
instead.
show them? Destroy first the stack.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But let's see if this doesn't solve it. I'll have to like
Yeah.
redeploy and destroy the stack. Alternatively, you could write the application to make it maybe smoother. But then let's see if this doesn't work. Then
Yeah, this is great. Now we're seeing all the different ways you can debug your application as you get it to run, and then as you iterate on the code.
exactly. So okay, let's see. It's progressing.
All right, it's progressing. Now it's relaunching the application. And you know, with the UI at any time, you can
Okay,
click.
so there's still an exit.
Oh, maybe you need to do like dash port or something like that.
I don't think that's
Not very familiar with the Ubicorn syntax.
Confirm here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to make changes to the structure of the application here. I think that's the best thing to do. Now, I'm going to make a new directory where my app code is going to stay, and from here, I'm going to remove everything and import Ubicorn. Just more stress. I'm going to have this. I'm going to Ubicorn should run my application here, and so I'm going to create a new application in my app folder here. I'll call that API, the PY. To run app.api. I'm going to say app again here. We have host. We don't add the host parameter, it's not compulsory because Okteto automatically gives us a host, so it's not needed at this point. You could do that locally if you like, but we don't need it here. So we have ports. Oh, okay, then we have ports. 8080, and we want to reload also.
Set the host to 0000. That is something that when you're running applications on containers, and in Okteto, your application is running a container. Localhost means a different thing, and so it's better to set it, be explicit about the host. That way, any traffic that comes into the container will be received by your application instead of only localhost, which doesn't work across containers.
Ooh, that's
a good thing to remember as you build things for containers. It happens to me all the time.
You need to rewrite this, and you're going to have a get route. Let's say welcome. Okay, we don't have anything here, so it's like to return message. Hello from community. Right. Okay. So now it's like test if this works perfectly. So when I run this, I should have my application running. Okay. So sorry, I can just have to do this myself. Okay. So you say Python in QA. Module name. Okay. So this should be the fast API in API. Just
oh.
Okay. That is weird. No name fast API.
When you check the other file, I think the other file on main
okay.
PY you had.
Here, sorry. This should be from Fast API. Sorry,
Oh yeah, it's a mix.
Fast API imports Fast.
There
Yep.
we go.
Okay, so this works.
Perfect.
So I'm going to modify the Docker file here to say we want to add everything in the app folder to this point, and I'm just going to give instruct is to say now we have just Python and we have main.py. Okay, so they should do it.
Put the wait for main py. Put the path. Put like whatever that is on the slash. I
I think
guess
I don't think it's not needed. I even think this. I don't
you
think it's
need it
needed.
because you don't have the work directory set.
Oh yeah.
But actually, let's do that instead. Why don't you remove the slash from all the lines and then
Yep.
do
That's work directory
work there
because
at the top.
in one of the deployments I have for Fast API, this is how it is configured. So I think it should work irrespective. So we could do
Yeah,
this.
just remove the slash main on line 5 and on line 9. Remove the slash and just use the
Okay.
default in all of them. That way you're using the default work there of the container.
Okay.
I think that'll work
Yeah, that
better.
makes
And
sense
then we
now.
don't
So
have to specify anything. Yep. Just save it and
okay.
yeah, it should work.
Yeah, yes, it should. Okay, so we're going to deploy once more. These are going to start deploy. It's great whenever you
Nice.
run this anytime it's creates new deployments. So let's see. And again, it's going to be the new image. Okay. Okay, so while that builds, we should look into building the other parts for the application. Right. And okay. So let's confirm that this works.
All right, it's getting
Let's
there.
confirm. I think we should destroy the stack, then rebuild it. What do you think?
Yeah, destroy the stack. Show me how to do it from the CLI. And yeah, I think it's not picking up something. So go back to destroy the stack,
Mm-hmm.
and do
I
another
think
one
it's.
and force a build. It might be
I think
picking
it's.
up one of the caches.
Yeah, I think it's booting. So I think we should just give like a moment to see if anything changes. From the logs here, this is just like code from 5 minutes ago. So it's the same thing. So I think we need to destroy the stack.
Mm-hmm.
Destroy from CLI here.
Now
Or
go
from
one level
UI.
up.
Let's see. Oh, I should destroy the stack completely. Here. I
Yes,
know the attached volumes.
everything must go. So make sure the files are saved. I think your main file is not saved,
Yes.
and that's
The
why
thing
it
is,
kept
I
going.
have an autosave feature here. So
Oh,
then it's
cool,
like, yeah.
fancy.
Okay,
So
so
do
let's do it.
dash build. Hold on.
Okay, to for new images. I think
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's correct.
Just to
Okay,
force the
let's
build.
see.
Yeah, I think last time the command didn't build the
The new
it didn't
image.
build
It
the
just
image.
deployed it. Yeah. Okay. The image is getting built then.
Yeah, it's on there. Got all the things.
So alternatively, if you have a very random application with Docker Compose, you just do Octave stack deploy and it works in as much as your services and all the required files are in place. Currently now we've deployed very simple a skeletal Docker Compose application. We have all services deployed. So we're going to like confirm that it works. It's pulling the image we just built. Afterwards, goes progressing, then it boots the image and assigns the service endpoints that we can access publicly. Okay, fingers crossed for this. Okay,
There
and
we
our
go.
application is live.
Yay.
Okay, so we have hello, welcome from the community. So everything works perfectly. You could see your logs here.
Nice.
So if there's an issue, you can see it. When you visit, your routes is listed and everything works. So you could potentially could turn on the timestamp. I'll leave you to experiment with the cluster yourself. Okay, so you should do that yourself. So
Let's
now
just
we
show them
have
one thing. Go back to the UI and click on the YAML button
on the Yum button here.
next to the logs.
Okay. Yep.
So
Okay.
just to show you that you can get a peek of how your application looks like on Kubernetes resources there.
Exactly.
So it's a cool way to learn. You do Octave stack deploy from Docker Compose,
And you
and you can
handle
see how
everything.
it looks like in Kubernetes. If you're curious, want to learn more, or if you need to do something more advanced, you can take a
Yeah.
look at how it looks like from there.
Okay. So we can go ahead to now we want to develop our application from the dev environment. And to do that, we already have an active deployment API. And to start up a dev environment, you need to run the Octeto init command, or Octeto init does. Create a manifest file. It walks you through. It's an interactive command. So it scans through your current cluster to see if there's deployments. And now it asks what deployment I want to use. So you select deployment to develop. And I'm going to use API. Since we have it already installed, instead of having to create a new one. So it analyzes the API deployment and checks the language that is used so it can configure the environment. So now it has created an Octero file here. So this should be right here. So I'll give a big run through of the manifest before we enter the dev command, the dev environment here. And okay, so we have the name of deployments and the command. What commands we want to run at deployments? We are going to use bash. So whatever command you run on your terminal here is the same as what you normally run. Volume to application and what ports are we forwarding, and we have a reverse port. So when I do Octave up here,
just before you do Okteto up,
yep,
hold on, before you do that, go to Okteto YAML and on sync, change the slash for slash user. So source app.
Okay.
So what happened there is that because the Docker file doesn't specify a work directory,
so
Okteto is assuming root. The sync folder, what it's telling you, what you're telling Okteto via the sync folder is what your local folder to synchronize to somewhere in the container. So if you sync to slash, that's going to replace the entire file system, so your container will not work. So it's important to make sure that we always sync it to somewhere in the container. So that's a bug on Okteto that came up, which is really cool. So we should fix that, but I think you're set to go.
Good. So when I run the Octave up command here, it creates a persistence volume for this environment. And what it does is whatever changes I make in my dev environment doesn't affect the original deployment. So what happens first is it installs the dependencies for the application, for volume, for environments, and it activates your development container. So when you can also monitor it here, this is the dev volume. And when you start your dev environment, the status of your application deployment changes from deployment to in development. So while it is progressing, because it is synchronized, whatever process is happening locally is also happening online. So it's pulling the images. That's created a persistent volume, which you can see here size 2 gigabytes. Yes. And now we see have it's pulling the images here, pulling image. So everything works in sync.
Yeah. It's getting there.
Yep. And like I said, file synchronization works perfectly here. Whatever command I run for my dev environment is reflected in my local system here. We're going to see that in a bit. Okay, so everything is up and going. And you can also, as usual, monitor the logs and see the processes of your development container. So this is it. We have like a bunch of logs for the log geeks here. You can just use if anything's wrong with your process. Now, okay, so let's see. Now let's go into list. And okay, this should be
so go to user/source app.
Yep. So this is the list, and we have our application here. Let me see, does Python work? So like when you use the dev command, everything comes installed. kubectl, terrascan, virtually almost all the tools accessible in a normal Kubernetes cluster comes in hand. So I'm going to create a virtual environment again, so we can have an isolated dev environment application here. Okay, it should not take less than a minute. Okay, cool. I'm going to activate it, of course. So I've been, then you have activate here. And of course, so the next thing is to install the requirements because it's a new application. The beautiful thing about the dev environment is what changes I make here stays with it. So the next time I spin up a dev environment, I do not have to install the requirements again. I just start my application normally. It is a persistent volume, meaning whatever changes you make stays with it. And now we have everything. Okay.
Yeah, one thing to notice here is that this terminal is running on your container. So this is now in Kubernetes. It's not a local machine. So even if you didn't have Python installed locally, it's going to be available in your dev environment because it's already configured, as Abdul said, with Python and any other tools you might need. You can bring any Docker file on Okteto YAML. You can specify the image you want to use for this. So it can be any Docker file that you want. If you go to com/okteto/devenv. You can see the ones that we already built, but you can use any Docker image there, which is makes it easier for you. So
Yep.
yeah.
But I forgot to mention, when you build or when you make a deployment, your images are built into a shared registry. At Octado, we have an internal build. I think we use build kits. Is that correct?
Mhm.
To handle the image and everything. So all your images can be reused on the Octado cluster. Okay, so now we want to start the main application. So when before that, when you visit here, your application does not start because it is not running on any port yet. And so it says to start this particular service on port 880 from your Octave terminal. That is not from just your local terminal because it won't work. However, when I run this now, my application runs, and when I reload, I have changes made. Right. So whatever changes I make here now will be synchronized. So let's check, and I'm going to like Kelly from the community dev environments. And when I go back here and I reload, okay, let's see. Okay, that was slow, but yeah, nothing
There you
changes.
go.
And now the next, so that works, right? Before that, I want to like show you something. So whatever, when I create an application from my dev environment, it reflects in this place. That's like one of the best things. So I want to create the file for managing database operations, so we could quickly run this. We don't want to use too much time. So I'm going to create a new application in this direction. I'm going to say maybe database.py. Here, let me go here. I have my file created locally. So everything is in sync. Whatever change I make here reflects here. Whatever change I make here
Nice.
is reflected on our dev environments container. And so from here now, I could write my code, and I'm going to use from PyMongo ports points. It's should be high from and I think before okay, let's do this also from these ports because we're going to use a couple of things here. ID and okay, we are not using the environments file yet, so we're just going to do connection details. It's going to be Mongo clients here, and we're just going to have MongoDB. Name of our MongoDB service, which is MongoDB again, MongoDB, and we're going to expose port 27017. Right.
Yeah. So if you remember when we launched the Docker Compose, there was a MongoDB there already. So now because we're running on Octeto, you just use that name MongoDB, and the connection is available, and that works just like on Compose, but on Kubernetes.
Exactly. Okay, so let's go back to the database file. It should be small. I think yes. The next step is to okay. We should call this client instead, so we could have it's more specific. As we make changes, we have clients and we have what database we want to use. So we're going to say let's just shorten it to they want to use clients. But should we say let's just say CRUD, right? And we want a collection, so we're going to like say CRUD collection here. It's going to be database here, database dot collection say CRUD. Good. So the first thing we want to do is to save. Let's see, we just like start by creating. So it's like define save data. Let's use the save data function, and we want to just have a very simple application. So we're going to have an application with a schema of let's say just an ID and an item value. The ID is also generated by MongoDB, so we don't have to worry. So we could do I could just say maybe the data should be in form of a dictionary. So I don't think it's totally composable, but so we want to return a dictionary too. And so we want to say saved the data is equals to we have group collection here. But we want to insert one, we want to insert this data here, and we want to get the inserted ID. So to return ID should be saved data here. What I've just done here is okay because this is in object form, so I have to like enclose it in a string form at this point here. Let's do this. Okay, so let's see if this works. But before that, we need to create a route for to handle this. So we're going to say post. So we want to just post to say a to do, for example. Right, I have we're gonna have let's just say item. This is just like a dictionary here. So let's say we want to say so we have to import what we just done from database. So we say from database imports let's see let me see the name of what we have here. We have save data. Okay, we have to do this first. So we have touch the GI file here.
Right, and we can import our database.
Yep. So we can have like written. So we have the save the okay, just like save. Okay, so choose from but database import save data. Okay, cool. So let's see. I'm just going to say return. Let's see data is going to be save data. Let's say item. I have to return data. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, so we have to like start application again. So let's go back here and do Python in UI. Okay, what's missing? Oh, we went out of the directory. That's wrong. F Python in .py. Okay. So this is Fast API and gives us interactive um environment. So we're going to just test this out to see if it works. And we're going to have just let's see we have
That's pretty
um
cool.
yep, it is saves us time from using Arial. And just like the first one. When I click this, let's see if this works. Okay. So we have data inserted into our MongoDB database. Okay.
Nice.
And when you check here, you can also monitor that yes, something has been added. Oh yeah,
That's pretty cool.
actually. So you can monitor everything here. So you know, okay, yes, this works. And alternatively, you can use the command. It provides us a curl command. That means everything's gonna work. So of course we have the save, and now we have to retrieve our data. So let's quickly implement the retrieve. Okay, so you'll see gets data, and we want an ID because MongoDB handles its ID in object notation. So we usually have to like wrap it in a string value so we could get it without having issues. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to have I'm going to say data. It's going to be of course our collection again. Create collection dot find one because we're looking for just one here. And now we're going to use the curly braces ID here. And we have to make ID, wrap it in this form, an ID, because if you go back here, this is our ID for this particular item. So I'm going to copy this just for purpose, test purpose. Okay, so if this works, I'm going to say return let's see data. Return just the data here. So we do it again and we go back API file. Whenever we make changes, it reloads and everything gets synchronized to our dev to our cluster, to our dev environment. So we're going to create another one here. Let's see let's see. We have define let's see retrieve, right? Then we're going to have an ID, which is going to be a string. We don't want to put an erroneous value, so we're just going to say okay, it's just a return. Okay, to bring it back here again. So it's like to get data. So we need to return get data, and we have the ID. Yeah. Okay. So let's see if that works. Okay. So once again, I could just reload this, and we have the gets listed for us again.
Oh wow,
Yes, everything
that's pretty
sorted
cool.
out.
And then you save the file, Okteto, synchronize the files, reload it, fast API reload it, and
Exactly.
you
So
can test it
everything
from the
works
UI.
in
That's
sync.
pretty neat.
So we have an internal server error. So now we could like go and check what is missing. So we have the object is not iterable. Oh, okay, cool. That's true. So the values, when we retrieve values from MongoDB, I'm going to just use a string here to show you how the values are returned. We most times have to write a helper function to parse our variables, because values
Oh,
are returned
wow.
in this format.
Nice.
And so we could have, so I just have maybe a helper function. I could just say, okay, since we're having really ID and item here, I could say, okay, return ID should be, the data. When you look at here, we have, this is value of data.
Why don't you
And on
return
this,
just the item?
exactly. So, okay, yeah, that's true. Just return just the item. Okay, since we show the ID.
Uh-huh.
So when we execute again, let's see, we get, oh, this should
Nice.
be the item
That's pretty
instead.
cool. Pretty cool.
We have item and everything works again. And okay, so once we, this is basically how it works. You could you could delete, and now we just want to update the
Nice.
value of our items. So we just like quickly do this. I think we're running off time, but
Pretty cool. Yeah,
this,
we're running out of time, but I think this is a good way. This is a
mhm.
good step to stop that.
Yeah,
Really cool demo,
okay.
Abdul. It really shows
Mm-hmm.
the power of deploying an application with Docker Compose, using an Octeto Dev environment as you iterate on the code. And as you notice, it was very fast. It's running on remote, so you're not running anything locally. You don't have to run MongoDB locally.
Yes, you don't have to
You're
run
doing your
locally.
builds remote, so you don't have to run all these things on your machine, which is something that's very useful, especially if you have a laptop or you're not in your office or in your home. That is
Exactly.
something really cool. Abdul, thanks for showing us this, and Abdul will be
Yep.
putting the code for this
Yes.
on that
I
repo.
think we will
I think he's gonna
communicate.
do it right after this call. So check it out and let us know what you think. And now we're gonna pass the mic over to Sangam. Welcome, Sangam. Sangam has started the Bangalore meetup. Wow, a long time ago, right? 2019, early 2020. He's been a very active participant of the Okteto community. So he's gonna share some of the stuff he's been working on with. Hey, Sangam, good
Hi,
having you.
hello. Hey, hello. Thanks for the nice intro. And hello, everyone from the comment section. I see a lot of comments there. So I want to share a little bit story here, how I got into this Octeto thing and how I found this thing and why I'm interested into this. So when I'm exploring one of a open source project from Google called Go, which run a kind of it's take your Go binary and you can just add into your Kubernetes and it will run those things. And then I come across a synchronic technology, and already I know Docker very well. So I got into this build kit thing, and that's how I got into the Octeto. And first impression is that I used to run a lot of things. I used to daily used to run a Docker files as a meetup organizer or showing some kind of fun demos. But the thing is that it takes too much memory, and there is something like I want to come up with a kind of solution, and I got into this Octeto, and it's give you a kind of remote cluster where you can uh, just run your Docker files or Docker. Now they have a Docker Compose support, and that's how I got into this. Octeto, how to like it give you a kind of namespace. You don't need to struggle with having a cluster around, set up all the cluster and thing that will be like very difficult for you to go and set up everything. Uh, and this is a very easy. Now we are living into the cloud native space. There are a lot of Docker containers everywhere. We uh, we we are living into the YML world now, and we run we used to run the Docker Compose file. Now we're using a lot of Kubernetes, uh, and now if you see, there are a lot of user who use a Docker Compose. Now they can use Octeto kind of solution to just run their kind of thing, and it's very difficult as a developer to learn something new things. So it's good. It's really good to use some kind of solution to make a developer life easy. And Okteto give a kind of the easy inner loop. Let me share my screen, uh, and we will just jump into the demos and all. Hope this is all visible. And if you see the, hope this is, can you just share? Yeah, this is a kind of dashboard you today we have in the Okteto. You go and no need of any credit card. You will get a free cluster. Like you can add a kind of new namespace and you can deploy application right from the UI. You can just go ahead and add your GitHub repo, private or public. Go ahead and configure. You can add secrets. You can have a kind of hem chat. And now they come up with a kind of cool feature. Docker Compose is kind of a converter. Just you can put your Docker Compose file and you'll get your Kubernetes YAML file. This is really fun. And now, and one of the thing is that secrets. You can manage secret directly. You can add a secret here directly. And one of the cool thing, while the exploring thing, I used to download this kind of config file from here, and you can pick any kind of IDE today. Uh, uh, like any kind of Kubernetes IDE today, or maybe it's Portainer or any kind of thing, just download and upload that config file. It will work. It work really great with any kind of your IDs. It support all the IDs. And one of the cool thing is already I saw the Abdul's demo. Uh, let's say you are kind of, let me like go to the documentation and I will just show the what. Okay, hope. Okay. So once like you deploy some kind of application, let's take this kind of this application Docker Compose. Now this is a simple voting application. Now just I will, what I do is when you go to the kind of a console where you change something on a particular namespace, it will revert back into your local thing. And that is something cool thing. It synchronize to your cluster also and your local environment also, and that will give you a more flexible and easy way to run. And without a further ado, I will just jump into the one of a demo which I have prepared. So I found this one of a library. It's called Spago, which is a self-contained machine learning and NLP library written in Go. So when I come to this library, uh, and I wanted to some kind of solution where kind of trained model where I can just run a AI application top of a Kubernetes. So I found this is very interesting, and today I'm going to show you around like just a walkthrough around one of the example called just question and answer. Just you just give a kind of paragraph and you can ask any questions from that paragraph, and you can just, it will automatically reverse back whatever the your question, it will answer you. So this is I found really cool, and I wanted to run on the Kubernetes this kind of solution. So I digged into code. What is this Spago, and I want to try to learn a little bit. So Spago use a BERT model, which is a kind of a neural network processing model developed by Google. And what it is does is it's take your kind of sentences context, and it will take one sentence and it will check the next following sentence is like it is relatable or not. And on that you can just take add any kind of model, pre-trained model, and you download that pre-trained model. It will be like 8 GB, or maybe like there are a lot of models. Like AI machine learning model is very huge, and I want to run this huge kind of stuff on my local machine. Now on my local machine, if I run, it take too much memory, it take too much power and resource to run this kind of thing. So why cannot I try this thing on the Kubernetes or the Okteto directly? So I have run completely. Now we have this Docker file here, and then after running this thing, I can go to the whatever the command, and I will just curl, and I will pass my variable with whatever my passage, and I will ask the questions, and it will answer me as like it will give answer in JSON form. So what we did a little bit here, this is a code. So what we did is here, we added us kind of a little bit package here called HTML package, which give you a kind of dashboard, um, where I can see the my UI, and I can see my UI, and I can I can see UI, and I can pass my argument, whatever the, I need to use a gRPC gateway, which take a kind of response. It's use a protobuf also. So it's take that response, and it will. We have already a pre-trained model, which going to download into your cluster, and then you can run this thing. This is really cool. So let me walk you through the little bit of this is my Docker file, and if you clone the original Spargo repo, what I have changed from here, we have changed this form. It is a multi-stage Docker file, so I have changed only a Debian buster because I do need a shell to run some kind of command. If you use Alpine or Scratch here, it will throw the error while running a container. And next thing, we have a simple Okteto stack, or you can say a Docker Compose now. Now, what I did here, this is my service name. This is a service called Spargo. Now you can give it any kind of name here. So I have just used whatever when I build Okteto build command, and I give it any kind of tag, and you can build your image. And then I have just passed the shell command, and it will start a bird. This is a kind of a CLI tool. This Spargo is kind of a built in as CLI. If you see here in code, um, this is kind of CLI, and it's use a bird server. So just give a pass that thing, and it will talk with a gRPC on 400, and it will you can disable TLS if you are running locally, but I have disabled here. And this is a model. This is a kind of model called deep set. If you go to the Hugging Face, like this is one of a website. This is kind of open source project used by so many people, and Spargo support all the pie chart models. You can use any kind of pre-trained model, NLP models. So I am using in this demo this bird based model, which allow me to give that pre-trained model, and I can download. Now first thing, I will just go ahead, and this is my Docker file. I want to build this Docker file now. I will just go, and I will just use this command called docker build dash t. You can use a tag and give whatever image you want, whatever the name of the image you want. And when I run, it is very big Docker file, so it take too much time if I run this locally. And with the power of build kit, it give you a faster build, and you see it take a few seconds to build this big project. And I will just wait for a few minutes. So I will walk through you around the project. So this is what happened after running this. It will allow me a kind of a dashboard, and I can just go ahead and type a passage of kind of a blog, and from that blog I will ask some kind of questions. uh, that is the just a question answer model. You can use a different model here. There are a lot of examples if you go to the main repo, and even you can just curl and use these commands also inside your cluster directly. So now my Okteto this image is built. Now you can see the using power of build kit, it took a few seconds to build this big thing. It's took me around 53 second to build this whole project. uh, and now what I use a docker stack command to deploy this thing. So when I deploy this thing, so I will go here and I will check here also. You will get a what happening status, and I will just go ahead and uh, check my Okteto dashboard. Now, if you go here and I will just refresh. Okay, here automatic refresh. So I can go here and check my logs, what happening here, and how much memory it take, what happening in the background process, what kind of model, and it's going to download. How and now if you see this kind of logo, it's synchronizing my data from my local machine to the cluster. So it's take all the things. Now if you see here, it's downloading that particular model from Hugging Face. This is the site huggingface.co. So I'm using this model, so it will download that model directly into the cluster. If you see, it will take a few minutes. um, and when you run this much big workload top of the Kubernetes, you need a really kind of good speed. You need a speed for the AI machine learning model to train or give a response back. And I'm really amazed by this. It took a few seconds to build this thing, and it's now, if you see, this port is on, and I think it's running. If I go to the main command, so I will just open my this thing. So if you refresh, okay, this is the thing. This is a kind of command. You just need to add BERT QA, which we added a kind of HTML template, and you will get this thing. And now I will just type some kind of thing. So I will type about me, like uh, Sangam work at Curix as a developer advocate, and join Okteto Bangalore meetup group. Now I will just go ahead and ask some questions. Sangam work at, just I will put a kind of question mark, and just I want to find an answer. Now it will give I work at some kind of thing. Now you can give any kind of passage, any kind of text, and just you can ask a thing. Now here is the thing. Now how its work is very fun, and BERT is very faster than other models. Is developed by Google. And what happening is here. Now let's say if I give a full stop here. Now I have one sentence, I have second sentence. So what it will do, it will create embedding a kind of tokens. It will divide this all the sentences, and it will check if first sentence is related to second following second thing, and it will tokenize all the thing, and it will check it's English or it's a context or it's a grammar. And it will train. We have already pre-trained model, so it will check and go to ask to the pre-trained model. And if you give any kind of text, and you will get a your kind of uh, response within a second. So this is really fun demo which I have really enjoyed. And we have a blog on Okteto blog, so you can go ahead and just try to run. If you got like any idea, or if you got into any issues, reach out to me. I am there at Okteto. I'm there at Okteto Slack. Ping me there. We are happy to help you, or just run this demo and add your whatever your feedback or cool thing, and ask question and give a response. Take a screenshot and tag Okteto on Twitter. I'm happy to see what like you are want to build on top of Okteto. That's it. This is a one of a demo. There is a lot of models where you can go and go to Spago repo. There are only I have shown one demo. There are a couple of masking language, machine translator. You can give a, if you have a PyTorch kind of model, it support all the all the model. I am using the same. This is uh, PyTorch model, and you can use this. And if anybody want to like take this project, there is another project at Okteto catalog, which is kind of a notebook, and take that, build some kind of thing, run to a kind of a container inside one namespace, and try to communicate between it. This is going to be a cool demo.
That's really cool. Thanks, Sangam. That's amazing. So it's really cool way to use Okteto to run some machine learning
Yep.
experiments. That Spago is a really good library. Solve it and go super fast.
Yeah,
Check out,
and there is
Sangam. Sangam wrote a blog post, as he said. Check it
yeah,
out. Just
and
search for
there is
Spago
one
and Okteto.
and there is one branch called Okteto Stack, where you get you just need to go there and click this button. This is really
One
cool.
button and it just runs.
Just click one button, it will do all the work.
Yeah, for the next community call, we'll talk more about that button. That's a really cool thing you can add to any of your repos. But thanks so much, Sangam. This is amazing having you here. As you said, please, if any of our viewers are in Bangalore, join the Bangalore meetup. It's very active. Sangam is involved in a lot of initiatives. Cube Daily, DevSecOps Conf. He's always organizing events. I've been to a few of those, and they're all very fun, wonderful communities. So check him out. Follow him online.
If you want to showcase something, reach out to me or reach out to Ramiro. We are happy to give you opportunity to present your cool demo at our Okteto Bangalore meetup. I'm looking forward to the next Okteto community call.
Yes,
make sure if you are not taking today participate, make sure take some kind of contribute something and learn something. We are there to help you all, and make sure to subscribe this YouTube channel.
That's true. That's a good point. Subscribe to the channel.
So also, if you are interested, we have a couple of samples on our GitHub repo you could play with. Like Sangam said, if you have something to showcase, you could always reach out. We are always willing to work with you, get feedback, and see how things are going for you. So, of course, thank you. And I think Ramiro is going to just give a very brief talk on the Tech Writer program we are introducing. We want to see learning processes around Okteto and the products. So, Ramiro, yep.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Okteto is all about the community. So we want to work more with all of you. So we're launching this new program. We're calling it the Tech Writer program, where we are looking for members of the community who are interested in writing about their experience with Okteto, how they use Okteto, a tutorial on using Okteto with your favorite stack, programming language, application. It's a paid program. So yeah, go to okteto.com/techwriter. Check it out. If you're interested in writing and be featured on our blog, on our website, that is the place to go. So looking forward to seeing your applications, working with all of you. That's how actually both Sangam and Abdul have contributed before. And that is something that we want to keep doing. We want to have more voices, more people from the community. It can be, interviews, tutorials, whatever you want. And also, we're going to be doing these community calls every month. We'll send some information on when the next one is. If you want to, show up on the call, show what you've been working on, let me know. That would be fantastic. I'm going to be reaching out to some of the members of the community to see if they want to show up, the cool things they're working on. And then, well, that's it. Thank you very much. Sangam and Abdul.
Enjoy DockerCon also.
Yeah. Let's head out to DockerCon. It's going to be a lot of interesting talks. So, if you see me on the chat, reach out
to Ramiro, of course. And like Sangam said, subscribe. We plan to put a couple of video contents, and we would like some interactions and a couple of feedbacks on how things are going. As always, if you have any issues, please reach out. So we could always work towards it. We want to make sure things are perfect for everybody using Okteto.
Yes.
And so thank you very much.
As always, if you like what
Dockerize your first, I will say, Dockerize your just first demo, and just run on the power of Okteto, and you will learn a Kubernetes after that easily. And just start your journey somewhere. And I will say, if you are preparing for kind of a CKA, CKD kind of exam, I will say go install Okteto CLI. There is a free kind of cluster namespace. Go run your YML files, and you will learn. Share with us what you are doing, and we are there to help you to get
Always,
a
always.
kind of help with Kubernetes or whatever your application. We have the great community there.
Yep.
Make sure you learn something from this community call, and keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep learning, actually. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It was
And
great having
see
you
you in the
here.
next
I hope
one.
you enjoyed. And any feedback you have on this call, this was the first of many. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learned something cool. And yeah, reach out to me, to Abdul, Sangam. We're always on the Slack channel. Questions, comments, what you liked, what you didn't like. It's all useful to make this better. We're doing it so we can all engage together. And as Abdul and Sangam said, we can all learn together on this journey. So see you on next call and enjoy DockerCon.
All right.
Bye, Sangam,
Thanks.
Abdul.
Stay
Bye.
safe, everyone. Bye.
Subscribe.
And subscribe to the channel. Yes. We need a banner for next time.
Yep.